Hi, Mike Pearl. Tonight, it's Saturday night and we're freezing our butt off in the factory here. But hopefully we put this on tomorrow, if it comes good. I've been wanting to do this for a while. We've been wanting to do fox locks. Okay, fox locks on factory doors, opening out factory doors. I have a little prop, a little cutout of a door with a fox lock, a workable fox lock with the frame. Okay, so this is just what you're gonna see in the real world, all right? On factory doors, they're opening out, right? Fox lock, you notice, you'll see double rivets, okay? And a plate. This is your keyway, okay? What it is there's two rods that run past the plate. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna spin it around because we got more light on this side. All right. This is how a fox lock operates, okay? It's spring loaded. When they're on the inside of the factory, it's spring loaded. They pull. See, if you just turn, it doesn't work, it's locked. You pull, you turn towards the lower rod, which is the lower carriage bolts, and it unlocks the door. Now you see how much throw goes out into these jambs when you lock this door. You pull, okay? So if you can see on this side, the open jamb, how much throw is in some of these jambs, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you 4 ways that I know. I've done a couple that weren't that great, and I'll show you. I'll do them in preference, my preference order, okay? I'll show you 4 ways of defeating this lock, okay? Let's go back to the way, this is the way you're gonna see it when you come up to the door and it's locked, okay? Normally a door has a doorknob and a deadbolt also. Sometimes they don't even engage those, but we'll deal with that later. But once you recognize that the door has a fox lock, it's got the carriage bolts and it's got a central keyway, okay? Here's what you do. All right, listen, this isn't gonna be a short film. So if you're a conscientious fireman, you're gonna hang in there for all 4 ways. If you really wanna get the idea of how to force these doors, all right? Now, say I go up to this door, factory, it's burning, right? It's a flush door, it's an opening outward door. I check the doorknob, it's locked. I'm assuming they locked that, okay? The other locks we'll worry about after. I'm assuming they locked that. What I can do, the first thing, now I'll show you what we used to learn first. They used to tell us to cut the triangle. I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna talk about that last. That is a long process, plus you have to reach in at a 40th time, pull that opening, the spring load, and turn towards the lower. We're gonna do that last, okay? I'm gonna show you a quicker way. I call it a plunge cut, all right? Here. You get your saw, saying you have a saw. Start your saw and plunge cut between the rivets. Now think about it. Here's the jamb. There's gonna be a door stop behind here. See, Mike, my son's filming. Mike, come in here a second. You see that door stop? You see the size of the door stop? Okay? So when you wanna cut, back up, Mike. You're gonna wanna cut between the rivets and where you think the door stop is. So you come in a little bit from the rivets and make a plunge cut. I'll tell you why, okay? Because you're gonna be cutting between the rivets and the door stop. You're gonna be plunge cutting here. To cut through the door, the saw goes through the door easy, okay? What it'll do, as soon as you go through the door, you're gonna hit onto this bar, okay? Look at it here. Here is where it gets to, they double it. If you hear noise in the background, it's just the wind on the overhead door. Yeah, like that. Here's where the bars double. So it's 1/4 inch, it's double. It's 1/2 inch of steel here, okay? See on the ends, where they go into the door jambs, they double it. You see here? It goes in, it's doubled. Here, it's only 1/4 inch. We'll talk about that on the second way of doing this door. But I'm gonna talk about this plunge cut. Think about it. You sever that rod, right? And the door opens, it's opening that way, it's gonna be opening out. This little bit stays here, that lock is gone, okay? So this is not easy to do, guys, I know, with this prop and all. So I come up, door's locked, it's an opening outward door. That's important, opening outward towards you, like a factory door. You plunge cut between the rivets and the door stop, and guess what? The blade is right, Mike, if you can go around the back and just shoot that, you see the blade is on the rod, okay? That's gonna cut through that rod. That means you just took out the part of the fox lock that locks into the jamb. Now, here's a tip. Here's a tip, think about it. You just severed, and you severed the fox lock, the part of it that locks into the jamb. That part we're not gonna worry about, because once we force this door from the side, it's just gonna bend that rod out, okay? We're not gonna worry about that side. When you cut that plunge cut, keep your saw running. Put your saw to the side, keep it running for this reason. Now try the door again. You know you just cut the fox, it's gone, but those other locks, say the doorknob and the deadbolt, that they may have locked those also. If you keep the saw running, you just severed that lock, you try the door, it's locked, the saw's still running, you drop it right in between the edge of the door and the door jamb, and you cut whatever other locks, the deadbolt or the doorknob throw. Just cut them. Now you cut everything on this side, open the door. It's just gonna give you a little resistance because that rod is gonna bend as you open the door. You're in, all right? So that's your first move, okay? And it's a one cut move. And like I said, if there's other locks, the deadbolt down here, say a doorknob throw, then drop the blade in here and just sever it down, cut them all, and you're in, okay? That's the first one. Second one is this. Door's locked, you can cut this whole thing right here out. Just take your saw and cut, and this is, when I left the fire department in 14, we were still using aluminum oxide blades. That's what's in here right now. Aluminum oxide blades start to wear down as you cut. They're not the diamond blades that stay as a full blade. So here's why I'm gonna tell you to do the two outside cuts first, then join them. You wanna cut the whole box out, you make a cut here, okay? And think about it, the rod I showed you is only 1/4 inch at that point. So after you go through the door, you're only gonna sit on it a couple seconds. It's 1/4 inch, you're gonna pop through, cut this side, cut through the door, you're on the rod, you feel it go in, you just cut the rod, now join them here and here. The reason I tell you the outsides, in case you do have an aluminum oxide blade, a blade that starts to disintegrate as you use it. You see why I'm telling you to cut the outsides? Because it'll be going through 1/4 inch here. As the blade is disintegrating, you cut this other one, you're cutting through the door, and then just this here, 1/4 inch. Then join them, it's just the door. It's just the skin of the front and back skins of the door that you're joining. Now, once that pops out, you put your hand in, right? Think about it. This is cut, this is cut. You put your hand into the opening that you just cut and just grab the rod and slide it right out of the jamb. Put your hand in again, grab this one, it'll be cut here. This is gone, the box will be gone. You pull this rod right out of the jamb. Guess what? Fox lock is done, and it's done on both sides too. You won't even get that resistance when you're opening the door up. All right? That's the second way. It's 4 cuts. All right? The first way was the plunge cut. That was 1 cut. This way is 4 cuts, but you're definitely getting the box out and you're pulling the rods out. Okay? But remember, keep your saw running until you know that the doorknob and the deadbolt aren't engaged. If they are engaged, your saw is still running. You drop it in between the door edge and the door jamb, and you sever those cuts, and then you open the door. All right? I know. Listen, I don't script this. I'm just doing it as I teach. I teach from experience, so I just go with it. All right? All right. Third one isn't really what I like. I've done it, and I will never do it again. What it is it's the triangle cut. The triangle cut, they want you to cut a triangle cut because there's only 3 cuts, but listen what you have to do. They're saying that this is like this, and the doorknob and deadbolt are here. What they're asking you to do is cut a triangle here, like this, down here, and back up, okay? And then when this comes out, you reach in, you unlock your, and to unlock this, when you're reaching in, to unlock this cat's lock, you have to turn towards the lower bolt, all right? You see how it works, right? A rod and a rod. If you turn towards the lower bolts, the rod is running on the bottom, it'll ride out and it'll unlock both. So anytime you want to reach in, you look at where the lower, see the carriage bolts? The lower of the carriage bolts, you pull, it's spring loaded, and you turn towards the lower bolts. Okay, that'll unlock the Fox. But you had to cut this whole triangle and you had to intersect the lines, just like you're cutting a roof, because the door is this thick. So it's like you're cutting a thick roof. This run has to be overset. You have to overshoot it so that when it's time to pop out this triangle, you don't have anything holding you on the back end. It's hard to explain, but you know what I mean. You have to over intersect your sections, all right, by quite a bit to get the back part of the door also. But why they want you cutting a triangle like this? Because after you unlock this, you can reach down and unlock whatever deadbolt or doorknob. But here's a tip. After you unlock this, you know you unlocked it because you're turning it towards the lower carriage bolts. Then it'll stop, right? So you know that's disengaged. Before you reach in and flip any locks, because you might be locking these locks if you do that. After you've done this, you know it's disengaged, try the door. If the door is still locked, then go back in and flip the lock. You follow what I'm saying? You don't want to flip that lock automatically because you might be locking that deadbolt lock down here, okay? Man, hope I didn't lose anybody now, but this is all good stuff, guys. All right, last way, okay? The last way is, okay, let's say we don't have a saw, all right? We don't have a saw, think about it. The door opens out. If we sever these two carriage bolts, right? That means the clamp, I'm gonna show you in a minute. Let me just show you. Stay right there, Mike. Okay, say I don't have a saw, all right? What I could do is, if my adze is sharp enough, you can hit it down and sever that bolt. A lot of guys, the adze aren't sharp enough. You can always use an axe. If your axe should be sharper, like one guy holds it, the other guy hits it with the Halligan, and you can sever the carriage bolts. A lot of times that's not that easy. If you got a saw and you want to cut them, fine. But if you got a saw, I'm looking at one cut here, the plunge cut between the carriage bolts and okay, that's what you want to do. But if you were just to sever these and take these, think about it. I'll show you something. Stay where you are, Mike. All right, think about it. Say I severed the bolts that are holding this bracket on the outside, right? Okay, the door opens out, right? The door is open. The door is opening outward, right? If this bracket isn't holding this rod and I force that door conventionally, as it goes out, it's not being held against the door. It's being held here. So as the door goes out, there's not much resistance. That door is going to open. It's going to pivot from here. It's hard to explain. But think about it. This is not here anymore, okay? Once you start forcing the door conventionally outward, as you start forcing conventionally outward, that rod is pivoting from the center. So you're getting that play. As you force out, it's just gonna eventually slide out of the keeper hole on the jamb. All right? Those are 4 ways I would attack a Fox lock. Listen, these things go to the back of all your strip malls. Go to the back of your strip malls. Look at all the doors in the strip mall. If you're in a high crime area, You're gonna see fox locks, guys. You're gonna see fox locks. Not only is the storekeeper locking the fox lock, a lot of times he'll lock his deadbolt and the doorknob also. So that's what I mean. After you do something, don't think you're in yet. Try the door. Those other locks, the deadbolt and the doorknob, might be still going, might be still engaged. Then you take your saw and you drop it between the jamb and the door and cut those two if you had to. You did all of that and somebody's watching you do that and you get in like that, you're a star. All right? Something to think about at the kitchen table. All right? Listen, I don't have anything scripted. As you can see, we're kind of like impromptu, but I hope I delivered, you know, the methods we would use to get through it. Oh, there's one more, through the lock. Forgot about that. Through the lock is, you could take the adze and have a guy hit you down and sever the deadbolt here. Get in behind the plate and have somebody hit you down and cut that bolt, and cut that bolt, or vice versa. As long as you cut 3 of them, you can pivot the plate off of the one that isn't cut. Just, no need getting all 4. Just cut 3, pivot the plate, and go through the lock, okay? And through the lock is you want to pull the cylinder, you want to stick your screwdriver in, and remember, when you do that, it's a spring-loaded lock, so you got to push the screwdriver in against the spring load and turn, which way? Towards the lower carriage bolts. Towards the lower carriage bolts. The reason why I say that, I know sometimes, you see, the lock itself, you'd have to push the screwdriver to make this engage into the spring load. You see it? And then here's the lower carriage bolts, right? These are higher and these are lower. You're pushing the screwdriver in and you're turning towards the lower. As you turn towards the lower, look what's happening to the locks. They come out of the jams. Always turn towards the lower if you're gonna do that, okay? If you're gonna use the screwdriver, go through the lock, or if you're gonna cut a triangle and put your hand in, okay? But I would do the plunge cut first. I would do the box this out first and just reach in and pull the rods out. Third thing, you do the triangle then, but if you're gonna force conventionally, make sure you shear those bolts and then it becomes easier, all right? Before I knew some things, I remember me and Vinnie Franchini forced a Fox that was, we forced it conventionally from the beginning, not shearing the bolts and all. You know, you learn from your mistakes, all right? So, you know, it was a tough door, but we made it tougher by not knowing the ways to go. But you know what? That's what experience is. You learn as you go, all right? 33 years gave me quite a few mistakes and quite a few victories, all right? So, hope you stayed with me for that. I appreciate it. I know it was noisy with the wind outside and everything, but I always wanted to get this in. And I'm not the most articulate guy in the world, but I hope I expressed each one. Go over it again, run it through again, and know what you're up against when you hit one of these Fox locks in a commercial building, all right? Hope that was good, and like always, just give us some feedback. Let me know if, I know it's not the most, I know it's not the greatest production, but I'm trying to get a lot of stuff out to guys and see if it helps, all right? Take care.